It's your favorite manifesting cousin, Neira, and welcome to the Manifest with Me podcast, where we will be discussing mindset, manifestation, and money, with a little ratchet behavior mixed in from time to time. If you haven't already, please make sure to follow me on Instagram and Twitter at Neira_X. Subscribe to my YouTube channel, Neira the G.O.A.T, and visit my website, NeiraTheGoat.com. The Manifest with Me, where thoughts become things digital course has officially launched. If you're interested in learning how to manifest more, shift your paradigms, and overcome any limiting beliefs, this is the perfect course for you. Check out my website, NeiraTheGoat.com, to learn more about it. I'm so happy and grateful that you've taken a moment to listen to this podcast, and I hope you find this week's episode super helpful and insightful. Make sure to leave me a 5-star review and comment on this episode, and shout me out on social media. I'd love to hear your feedback. So without further ado, let's get into this week's episode. All right, peeps, welcome back to another episode with Manifest with Me. It's your favorite manifesting cousin. I'm so happy to be doing another episode of this podcast with you every week. It's such a blessing to be able to bring you content that you guys are loving. Like, serious shit. Today, I was messaging my cousin because he posted a book on his Instagram, and the young lady that he happens to be with went and got the greatest salesman from listening to my podcast that he shared with her. So shout out to him, my cousin Crucial. Shout out to his lady friend. And shout out to all of you guys who are consistently showing the podcast love every week. You don't know how much it really, really means to me, and it keeps me motivated to keep going. So let's get into this week's episode. We're going to be talking about perfectionism. Ooh, child, I know I'm not the only one dealing with perfectionism. So this week I'm actually taking a money mindset class because I can never have too many teachings. Even being in the space of helping other people with manifestation. Even your coach need a coach. Even your manifesting cousin needs a manifesting cousin, right? So I'm taking the money mindset course with my girl Rebecca Kiger. If you don't already, this is a perfect time to go and follow her podcast. It is called the Soul Powered Portal, and it is also available on Apple and Spotify and pretty much anywhere else I believe that podcast. So shout out to Rebecca. So I'm going through the program with her, and we are going over our own limiting beliefs around money. But as I kind of mentioned, if you follow my Instagram story, I kind of mentioned how, I pray a lot, I meditate a lot, and I'm always asking the divine questions. I'm always asking God questions like, what do I need to work on? Show me something, like, because we all have blocks. We all have limiting beliefs that we're working past, and a lot of the times these are spiritual strongholds that are on us. A lot of the times, these are generational curses, as a lot of people like to speak about. A lot of the time, these are karmic situations that we're dealing with. And sometimes it's just a collection of bad habits. It's a collection of your old paradigm or current paradigm that you're working through. And it is your collection of habits that you got to go back. And a lot of the times, habits are created in the subconscious mind. You don't even realize that you're doing it, right? So I think it was the first day of the I think it was the first day actually of the course that I'm taking, where we decided to go through our limiting beliefs. So in my prayer time, in my meditation time, I was like, okay, God, if there are any other limiting beliefs that I just may not be able to easily identify, could you show them to me? And it would be so that I get on Instagram and I literally see 2 posts about perfection back to back. One was on the Explore page, the other one was actually on my boy Lawrence's Instagram. Lawrence actually tweeted about it and he posted it. So I'll read the first one because I did remember to screenshot it. I thought that I didn't. But the first post was letting go of perfectionism, practices for those with imposter syndrome. And these are their suggestions. Don't worry about typos and grammatical errors. And I'm paraphrasing it because it's kind of long. Number 1, don't worry about typos and grammatical errors. When you make a mistake and it gets noticed, practice compassion for yourself. Don't catastrophize or blow up situations bigger than they actually are. Be proud of yourself when you can let go of a former perfectionist behavior. Be appropriately sorry for things and don't overdo it. And learn to take accountability for only that which is yours and not everyone else's. Okay, so that got me together, right? So then my boy Lawrence, hold on, let me pull it up. Tweeted yesterday. Shout out and listen, if you're interested in real estate, go and follow Lawrence on Instagram. Go and follow him on Twitter. He's a Houston real estate agent. So if you are in the Houston area, if you have any questions, if you just have any generic questions, he posts a lot of great content about real estate. His name is Lawrence underscore Briggs, Briggs, and that's his Twitter as well as his Instagram handle. But anyway, he posted on Twitter, don't let perfection stop you from starting anything in life. So of course I get these two posts back to back, and I'm like, I'm not a perfectionist, guy. Like, I'm not a perfectionist. And it immediately brought me back to a conversation that I had with the consultant that we were using at my previous job. And she mentioned to me, like, Neira, you're low key a perfectionist. And I'm like, no, I'm not. And it's something that people who have worked closely with me can definitely point out. I think I can kind of point it out too, but I don't necessarily want to admit it to myself. And in order to get past the limiting belief, we all know that we have to go back to the root. Go to the root of where it actually comes from. Okay, so follow me now if you're a red hot pepper girl or red hot pepper boy. Lift one finger if you feel like you fail at everything you try. Lift another finger if you procrastinate regularly. And you might resist starting a task because you're afraid that you'll be unable to complete it perfectly. Lift another finger if you struggle to relax and share your thoughts and feelings with others. Lift another finger if you become very controlling in your personal and professional relationships. Lift another finger if you become obsessed with rules, lists, and work. If you lifted a finger on any of these, then you might low-key be a perfectionist. If you lifted a finger for all five of them, you most definitely are one. And welcome to the club. Hi, my name is Neira, and I am a perfectionist, and it's nice to meet you. So, by definition, a perfectionist is a person who refuses to accept any standard short of perfection. Perfectionism is a personality style, according to Wikipedia, and it's broad, and characterized by a person's concern with striving for flawless imperfection and is accompanied by critical self-evaluations and concern. Um, but we know that a lot of the times, if we are being hypercritical of ourselves, and a lot of the time, our inner voice, our inner chatter, has been developed through the environments and the people that we surround ourselves with. So if you grew up in a highly critical household, you more than likely might suffer with some forms of perfectionism or feeling. I think perfectionism ends up coming from the feeling of not being good enough. So then you have a tendency to want to overperform, outshine, be perfect for the approval or the self satisfaction of feeling like you're good enough. Who child? Yeah, y'all take a deep breath on that one. Take a deep breath on that one. So you have to know that that sat heavy on my lap, and it just made me wonder, like, how many more things could I be getting done if I weren't so obsessed over having everything to be perfect? Um, Even I'll give you the example of even me putting together my digital course. Like, I spent so much time, y'all, like, and shout out to everybody that's in the Manifest with Me digital course. If you're looking to join again, enrollment will open October 1st. But y'all, I came up with all of the content. I recorded all of the content. I was the makeup artist, the cameraman, the lighting, the sound, the talent, the editor. And I did all of that work only for me to find out that whenever people do digital courses, they record that shit live from Zoom. And then they use the recording and just package it up as a digital course. And they're still selling it for like hundreds, thousands of dollars. And I was like, dang, I have a tendency of, because I want to be perfect, sometimes I have a tendency of making things harder than they need to be. I think sometimes when you're dealing with perfectionism, you are making things harder than they need to be. You're either procrastinating, or while you're taking the action, it's like you're purposely making it hard for yourself. And it goes into all kind of other limiting beliefs, like, why do we feel like work has to be hard? Why do we feel like in order to make money, like, because for a lot of us, a limiting belief could be that working hard equates to making money. But as I grow and develop on this journey, I understand that it's all about being able to balance and harmonize both the masculine energy in us and the feminine energy in us. The masculine energy in us is the energy that actually takes the action. The feminine energy in us is what actually sits in receptive mode and just receives. It's the creative side of us, and it's also the side that actually receives. And there is a way to still receive money by just sitting in your feminine energy. That's another podcast for another day. So, getting to the entire point of this podcast episode, how does perfectionism get in the way of your manifestation? Well, if we're going to be honest, perfectionism is literally just fear being manifested in the evidence of perfectionism. What are you afraid of? You got to sit back and, like, when I say I have been unpacking this, and it's probably going to take me about another day or so to like really dig into it. But what are you really afraid of? Are you afraid? Because now we're adults, okay? Like, it's one thing to be a perfectionist as a kid, because you live under your mama and your daddy's roof or whoever's roof, and you want them to be proud of you. But now that you're an adult, and more than likely, if you're listening to this podcast, you got a fucking debit card, you got a car, and hopefully it has gas in it, and a place to stay, and a roof over your head, and some Wi-Fi connection, right? So, if you're an adult now, why do you think you still are suffering with perfectionism? What are you afraid of? Because that's what it is at the end of the day. It's a fear. For me, I think that I still struggle with perfectionism because I'm still waiting for my mom to tell me, girl, you did a good job. I ain't even gonna lie. Now, consciously, I know that that doesn't mean a damn thing to me, but subconsciously, because I've accepted the thought or idea a long time ago that you want to make your parents proud, especially if you grew up in a Christian home. You know, there is the scripture about honoring your father and mother so that your days may be long. It's like you want to be able to show honor to them. You want them to be proud of whatever it is that you do. So you strive and you do all of these things. And for me, something that I've struggled with for a very long time was like, I want my parents to be proud of me, but at the same time, I'm gonna do things the Neira way. So I'm getting to the point, and I'm learning. I'm getting to the point where now it's like, well, I'm proud of me. And that's all the fuck that matters. But I still have a little bit of those remnants in there somewhere, right? I still have a little bit of that want or that need to want to please other people. And then also, I think that because I have made this super high standard for myself, I don't want to fail. But the crazy thing is, and I have this conversation with my son all the time. If you're starting a business, if you are picking up a additional or higher level degree, if you are, hell, even if you're becoming a mom for the very first time, or you're getting married for the very first time, like, as an adult, it's so many things that we are doing for the very first time. We've never done it before. How can you be perfect at something that you've never fucking done before? You can't. I mean, every now and again, there's that like luck of the draw where you just like really fucking good at something. But 9 times out of 10, if you've never done something before, then you're not going to be perfect at it anyway. So it's like you've got to go back and do some like heavy rewiring of the subconscious mind, because perfectionism stands in the way of you manifesting. And it stands in the way of you manifesting because in order to manifest, like, you need the space. You need the space to create. You need the space to make mistakes, because from mistakes comes contrast. And contrast, we know, shows us what it is that we really want. It shows us what we doesn't want, but it also gives us a clue, an indicator, or a next step to the thing that we actually really want. So perfectionism just totally fucks all of that up, because perfectionism wants to control the situation. Perfectionism wants to control the outcome. And you can't, like I said, I say this in my course. I probably said it on a podcast before. God has made almost 8 billion of us that we know of on this earth. So do you really think that there are only one or two ways of doing things? Do you think there's only one or two options that we ever have? Do you think there are only one or two answers to get a solution? There's not. There are millions of ways, billions of ways. But perfection and its controlling, the need to control stands in the way of that. So the other symptom of perfectionism is the fear of failure. And again, for things that you've never done before, you can't be perfect at it. So, and what is a failure anyway? Og Mandino in The Greatest Salesman in Scroll One, and y'all know I'm going to always refer back to this book, says that failure can only be described in one way. Failure is man's inability to reach his goals, whatever they may be, in life. So if you're not reaching your goal, then by this definition, you could be considered a failure. But I think that's only if you stop. Because we understand that life is a journey. We understand that even when it comes to creating goals and missing them or hitting them, that's a journey too. And a lot of the times we create a goal. If we make it, if we hit the goal, then we make a new one. If you haven't met your goal and then you stop trying, then that makes you a failure. So we have a fear of failing. So it's like, are we subconsciously sabotaging ourselves to stop and fail? Is that what we're doing? Like, it is so funny, guys, because I'm literally in my bedroom and I don't have any notes or anything for this. This is really all off the dome, and I'm thinking through it with you guys right now. The fear of failure. Who said that we were gonna fail? Is it a subconscious belief that we accepted about ourselves based on the past? Because maybe in the past we were a failure. Maybe in the past we had goals, we tried, we missed it, and then we never tried again. So subconsciously, or we've believed or accepted the identity of that of a failure. But here's why it's so important, and what is going to help you to move past perfectionism. You can move past perfectionism by really getting clear on your new self-concept. And if you want to go through that lesson of creating your new self-concept, make sure to sign up for the Manifest with Me, Where Thoughts Become Things digital course. We'll be relaunching in October. And I have a couple of lessons in a module dedicated to that. But getting clear on who you are, and not who you are today in the present, not who you are as today's perfectionist, as today's procrastinator, but getting clear on who your highest self is. The you that is in you, in your body, the true essence of you, beneath all the layers of fear and disappointment and hurt. When you are thinking from your highest self, perfectionism does not exist, because the highest self knows and understands that I can create whatever it is that I want to create. And even if I create a fucking disaster, I have the ability to create the solution for that disaster. And I think because possibly, and just vibe with me right now, Because we have accepted the identity of failure in the past, and this is all we have to go on, when a new goal arrives, when a new desire arrives in us, because desires are coming all the time. So when this new desire arises for us to go forth and take action on something new, then subconsciously the fear of failure pops back up. And the evidence that we are a failure is that we never actually completed our last goal. So then we can either become completely immobile and do nothing, or we fill our time up with a whole bunch of busy tasks and we do them in the name of being perfect, in the name of perfectionism, which still causes us to never get to the completion of the goal, which only further perpetuates the feeling, the belief, and the self identification of a failure. Ooh, that was good. That was good. And that was the Holy Spirit. And you probably gonna have to go back and rewind that part. Let me say that again. If subconsciously we have accepted the identity of a failure, because by definition, a failure is a man or woman who has not reached their goals in life, whatever they may be, and has not picked that goal back up to continue to pursue it. We have the evidence of failure because the goal was never completed. But because Source is so abundant, God is so abundant that we're always getting desires placed on our heart of other goals, of other things to accomplish. So as we begin to work on or take the divinely inspired action to this, then subconsciously the feeling of fear comes back on us. And all we have to remember is that last goal that did not get accomplished. So we are either one, completely immobile and we don't complete the goal, or two, we make ourselves busy by doing a whole bunch of frivolous tasks in the name of perfection, which which ends up turning into procrastination, which still stands in the way of us completing our goal in a timely fashion. Baby, I think I just unlocked something. I think I just unlocked something for me, and I think I just unlocked something for you. So the question is, how do we get past this? How do we get past the idea of perfectionism? And I think the first thing we have to do is remember that regardless of what we've been taught, regardless of the environments that we've grown up in, it's super important to give ourselves grace and compassion. Back to the post that I read at the beginning of this podcast. Let me pull it back up. One of the suggestions in this post says, when you make a mistake and it gets noticed, practice compassion for yourself. Because here's the thing, the negative chatter around wanting to please or do well or be perfect, whether it came from you, whether it came from a critical parent, whatever, like, you got to shut that shit up. And the only way to shut it up is by learning how to speak nicely to yourself. By understanding that even whenever you set this goal, that to get to that goal, it is a journey, and it is a journey of taking divinely inspired action consistently. At any moment in time that you decide to stop taking action, you understand with compassion and grace that you can always pick the action back up. With compassion and grace, you understand that you can always go back and alter the plan so that you can still get to your desired result. But more than anything, you've got to be so committed to yourself. You've got to be so committed to yourself in pleasing yourself and honoring the God within you. And when I say pleasing yourself, I'm really talking about the highest version of you, not the version of you that procrastinates today, not the version of you that is over obsessed with everything being in the perfect spot, you know, And perfectionism is so crazy because, like, perfectionism literally, when you have that on you, it comes up in everything, not just in your professional life, not just in your business, but it comes up even in your relationships. Perfectionism robs us of the journey. Perfectionism robs us of the other things that we are meant to learn, because that's what it's all really about. It's like, yeah, you could fucking make $1 million if that's your goal. You can have 20 properties by the age of 40 if that's your goal. But the real jewel in those goals is not the destination, but all of the lessons that you pick up on the way to that destination. And you rob yourself of that by being perfect. If like, hypothetically speaking, if being perfect was actually a thing and we could actually attain that, then how fucking fun would life be? If we could just do things perfectly the first time, we would never even fucking be able to laugh at ourselves. Like, or laugh at other people. Even though laughing at other people ain't always the nicest thing. But you know where I'm going with this. You know, perfectionism robs us of the very thing that I think God is trying to show us, the very lessons that God is trying to teach us. And those lessons are the things that help continue to develop our character, continue to develop our work ethic, continue to develop all of the things that really fucking matter to make you a whole human being. Ooh, child. So anyway, I mean, I feel like I could say more, but I also feel like I would just be beating a dead horse, because I feel like the y'all know where the jewel is of this podcast episode. But before we go, I'm gonna go back and I'm gonna reread how they suggest you let go of perfectionism. And I would absolutely love if you guys would leave a comment, no matter what platform you're listening to this on. Make sure to like tag me on your Instagram stories, tag me, DM me, whatever, because this is gonna be an ongoing conversation. But anyway, back to the post. Letting go of perfectionism. Don't worry about typos and grammatical errors in low stakes situations, emails, friends, and family. Let me tell you something. Your friends know that you're not a dumbass. They know that you know the difference between your, as in something that belongs to you, and the contraction you are. But sometimes we just be typing fast. So, like, don't trip on that shit. The other one, when you make a mistake and it gets noticed, practice compassion for yourself. And I think that closely ties into this other one that says learn to take accountability for only that which is yours and not anyone else's. So giving yourself compassion and taking accountability is as simple as saying, my bad, dog. You know what? That's my mess up. I shouldn't have did that. I shouldn't have said that. You know what? I should have actually completed that in this way and not in that way. You know, take accountability, show yourself grace and compassion. Be proud of yourself when you can let go of former perfectionist behavior. Give yourself a fucking pat on the back. Always remember, like Agmandino says in the first scroll from The Greatest Salesman on habit, you can only replace a bad habit with a new habit. So if you notice that there are little perfectionist type of things that you do, then whenever you are aware of it, just replace it with something new. And maybe you might have to do a little work and actually go and make a list of the things that you kind of over obsess about and go back and create what that new habit is. And anytime that old one comes up, just be like, nope, we decided, our higher self decided, we had a meeting and we decided we don't do this anymore. And remember to give yourself a pat on the back, because you should be proud of yourself. Coming into the awareness of things that you can change into your life is a blessing. Now, that blessing comes with responsibility. Don't ever overlook that part of it. But to be able to be more aware of self and what you're doing is truly a blessing. And then let's see. The other ones were be appropriately sorry for things. Don't overdo it. Stop saying I'm sorry. I can't even lie. Like, I'm low key a perfectionist, but this is a trait that I do not have, because I can't stand when a motherfucker is always apologizing. Like, apologize one time. Saying it more than once doesn't mean that you really mean it more. It's kind of like whenever people call you multiple times and just call me once. Calling me multiple times doesn't make it any less of an emergency to me. So apologize one time and move on. If they don't like it, they'll be fine, and so will you. And don't catastrophize or blow up situations bigger than they actually are. If you struggle, check in with someone who's really good at evaluating situations and being grounded. So, these are tips for letting go of perfectionism, and also understand that perfectionism is just another form of procrastination. And if it is your desire to do, be, and have whatever it is that you want in life, and you are struggling with perfectionism, if you are struggling with procrastination, my baby, I'm going to go ahead and be your manifesting cousin and let you know that you're the only person standing in your way. And believe me, as I say this to you, I'm saying it to my motherfucking self too. I love you guys so much. I hope that this episode was helpful to you. Please share with a friend, post it on your social media, give your girl a rating and a comment. I love you, love you, love you. See you in the next episode. Hey guys, thank you so much for listening to this episode. If you have any questions or any topics that you'd like me to discuss, please don't hesitate to leave a comment or send me a DM on Instagram. Peace, love, and light to you. Always remember what you are seeking is seeking you too. Happy manifesting.